It's your boy the Boxologist coming at you with another video. I'm gonna title this video "What's Next, Man?" for Errol Spence. Right now, as everybody knows, he is the newly crowned IBF champion. I was sitting here while I was at work, man. I was just thinking, man, like, what's his next move now? Any real boxing fan would just automatically want him to fight Keith Thurman next. I want him to fight Keith Thurman. I'm sure anybody listening to this video wants to see the Keith Thurman fight. I personally feel like, because of Keith Thurman's injury and because of, it seems like the grand scheme of things or the way things are going right now, I don't believe that that's going to be either one of those guys' next fight. I think once Keith Thurman comes off an injury, I believe he's going to take some kind of tune-up fight, which I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't blame him. And I think that Errol Spence is going to, take a stay busy fight. Maybe sometimes in September, October. I think Keith may be out for the rest of the year. He said he come back in November, but I think he might stay out longer than that. So I was sitting here thinking, what would be the best move for Errol Spence at this point in time? And so it hit me. I'm just like, well, Errol Spence's motto is man down, and his motto is strap season. Now, I don't believe Pacquiao is trying to fool with anybody that's a dog over there in Al Haymon's stablemate. So the best option for me, and y'all tell me what y'all think about this, the IBF champion Errol Spence versus the WBA regular champion in Lamont Peterson. I think that fight would set the tone and set the stage for them to, unify not only the two major titles, but also the IBF and the WBA regular and the WBA super titles. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it would be a great opportunity to infuse those titles together, if Errol Spence is capable of getting the regular WBA championship from Lamont Peterson. Now, I already know what some people was going to say. They might be like, well, some of you might not even notice. I don't know. But, Lamont Peterson had already turned down Errol Spence, when he was fighting for the #1 mandatory position for the IBF title. They offered Lamont Peterson a fight. Peterson said he wanted to go a different path, and he turned down the fight, and he ended up going the WBA route and fighting. He ended up beating Felix. I know he beat Felix Diaz, and he ended up beating David Evanescence. And he won the WBA regular crown from undefeated David Evanescence. Now, some people might already think, well, if he turned the fight down once, he'll turn it down again. But I think the X factor of the situation is when the fight was presented to him, it was just for a mandatory spot. You know what I'm saying? So let's say if Lamont Peterson would have said, all right, I'm going to take the Errol Spence fight, he would have somehow beat Errol Spence. His next fight, he would have had to deal with a Kell Brook. So he could have, for all we know, Lamont Peterson turned down that fight. He's like, well, if I beat him, I'm not going to get a belt. If I lose, I'm going to be out the rankings, and I'm not, I'm going to have an L, and I'm really not going to get a belt. So, if he fights for the strap, or if he fights Kell Brook, then I don't have to fight both of them. I can fight one. You know what I'm saying? But he ended up, in between that time, he ended up getting the WBA regulars title. So what I'm thinking is, now that, Errol Spence has a fight, it's a more, lucrative looking fight. You know what I'm saying? It's a good looking fight. You know what I'm saying? Two title holders, and them fighting, for some sort of unification bout. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that, he would turn that down. I think the money's going to be there for him. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Lamont Peterson's with Al Haymon as well. So I definitely think the money's going to be there. The prize is going to be there. And it's going to be a big fight. And I know, I personally don't feel like Lamont Peterson will beat Errol Spence if that fight happens. But at the same time, dealing with Lamont Peterson, man, you never know, man. Lamont Peterson surprises you, man. You got to remember, he just beat 2 undefeated foes, back to back. He beat Felix Diaz, the Olympic gold medalist, and then he beat David Ammunition, you know what I'm saying? The one who pretty much sent Shane Mosley into retirement. He was undefeated as well. And a lot of guys in the community thought he was going to do something. So, Lamont Peterson, he will surprise you. Like, I didn't think he was going to beat Amir Khan. It was some shaky stuff going on in that fight. Do your history, you know what I'm talking about. But he got a W over Amir Khan. I didn't think he was going to beat Victor Ortiz, and he didn't beat Victor Ortiz, but he did come back and fight Victor Ortiz all the way to a draw. So Lamont Peterson, he got skills. He's been in there with a lot of good guys, man. I think he was giving Danny Garcia that work in the second half of the fight. Lamont Peterson's a very slow starter. But, when he gets in his groove, man, he's a dangerous foe. He's really a dangerous fighter, man. And I think that will be a great, excellent fight leading up to a potential Errol Spence Keith Thurman clash in the future. You know what I'm saying? And I think that would be an excellent name to get on his resume. And another strap. It's, like you say, hashtag strap season. So I think that's the fight to make, man. I was trying to think about what's next for him, but I think Lamont Peterson is the fight to make. And that's my take on it, man. Y'all let me know y'all think, what y'all think about that fight. Y'all think that's a good fight? Y'all think it's a better realistic option? Because we know a Manny Pacquiao fight is better. A Timothy Bradley fight is better. You know what I'm saying? But at this point in time, I don't think those are realistic options right now. Sean Porter fight is better. I don't think it's a realistic option right now. Danny Garcia. I don't even, I haven't heard nothing from Danny Garcia, period. So we still wait for him to come climbing out of a rock. So, but yeah, man, Lamont Peterson versus Errol Spence, regular WBA championship, IBF championship on the line. I believe Errol Spence is going to be able to fight 2, free fights before he has to fight a mandatory. Because if you look at the rankings, it has him as a champion in the number 1 and number 2 spot vacant on the IBF line. So I don't think he has a mandatory at this moment. You got to be number 1 mandatory to have a mandatory. So, and nobody's number 1 mandatory. So I do think this is an opportunity for him to veer off and maybe try to get another strap. You know what I'm saying? And get another good name on his resume. And I think that's the fight to make, And, to be honest with you guys, I don't even know if Errol Spence is going to be even having to defend his strap too often in the IBF world, man, because it's a lot. I looked at the list, man. A lot of them guys already turned him down. They'll go ahead and, get skipped over. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. Let me know what y'all think, man. Strap season, man, down. It's your boy.